In today's project you're going to learn how to make the cabling effect all in crochet. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to make them in all different sizes. That's coming up next. Welcome back to the Crochet Crowd as well as yarnspirations.com. I'm your host Mikey. Now today we're going to be learning how to do a cabling effect when it comes to your crochet. You can see that the cablings are weaving in and out. I have to tell you this is only a combination of 4 different rows that repeat over and over and over. Now you don't need a swatch like this, so today's tutorial I'm going to tell you how to be able to make a full-size afghan with this. I'll tell you the math involved. Here's what the back end looks like. You can see that the cabling is only on one side. You will not believe how simple it is to be able to do this. So I had to sit down with it, play with the math in order to figure out how to make this into different sizes, and I have of course that information for you today. So without further ado, let me take you through the ins and outs of doing crochet cabling and the math that you need in order to make it bigger for different sizes that you wish. Now first of all, what you should know that each of the cabling consists of 9 different stitches. So when we look at it you can see that the cabling is coming up and over and then underneath and then over again, and there's actually like a braiding, so there's actually 3 layers of that. So that consists of 9. So you have 3, you have 1 under here that's coming up, and then another one over here, so that's 3, 6 and 9. So that's how you get your 9. So to do a repeat pattern for this is that I have put in 3 double crochets or 3 stitches in between each one of the cables. So this means that the repeat pattern is 12. So you have these 9 plus 3, which is 12. So if you're doing a different size project than what you're seeing on screen, all you need to do is that in chains and sets of 12, so 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12, decide if it's big enough. If not, then just continue 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 so that you can continue to get it right. But here's the thing, once you get to the end of your chain you need to add 5 extra chains. So get to the size that you want, keeping them in multiples of 12, but just add 5 at the end, and then you'll be able to whip this off pretty carefully. So you can see that there's 3 stitches in between the cables. There's 3 on both sides, which makes this very easy to follow along. So let's just grab some yarn and test the skills to show you how to do this. Before we get started, you should know that you can substitute the yarn or the hook, it all depends up to you for this. Today's tutorial is about showing you the technique, so you just have to match the hook size to the yarn and then you're good to go. So I did this in a baby Bernat baby blanket, which is the big thick chenille, using a size 10mm size end hook, but you can again use what you're learning here in order to make that. So you just can switch your yarn to the hook as long as they complement each other. So without further ado, let's start off with a slip knot to begin, and let's begin. Now I've already promised you everything's in sets of 12. That's no lie. So here we go. The first one never counts as 1. So 1 2 3 and then 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 and 12. Decide if it's big enough. If you're doing an afghan you're obviously gonna want to go bigger. So if you're going bigger then you go 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 and 12. And so you just have to keep doing that until you get to the size you want. Once you get to the size you want you have to add 5. So at the very end just go 1 2 3 4 and 5. This additional 5 helps balance it so that you have both equal borders on both sides of your project. So let's begin. So to continue the next one we cannot just start cabling because we have nothing to cable to. So what we have to do is the first row that has to be all double crochet. So what we have to do is count the 4th chain from the hook. So 1 2 3 and 4, and I just turn the chain over and I just double crochet. That's just my own technique. It makes for a better edge, and all you're just going to do is that you're gonna double crochet along the entire chain all the way back to the start. So this row is very easy. This whole thing is really easy once you get the knack of it, but just double crochet yourself all the way back across your chain. When we come back I'll show you what to do next. So I've now come all the way back across, just double crochet. Now I'm gonna turn my work, and now this is the first part of the repeat. There's only 4 rows that repeat each other, and this is row number 1 of the repeat. So let's begin. We're going to start off by chaining 3. 1 2 3. This counts as a double crochet in the rules of crochet. So this counts as the first one, and we're gonna double crochet into the next one and into the next one. Remember that I said there was 3 stitches in between each one of the cables. These are the 3 stitches that sit on the outside of your project that are never touched. So now we're going to begin the cables. So to begin the cables, we're going to be doing trebles, and we're going to be skipping over stitches and also going into the front post to create the lip, which creates the raising effect. So to do a treble, we're gonna wrap and wrap, and we're going to skip over the post. So look at the post, you can see that there's 3 here. We're gonna miss those 3 and go to the 4th and just go into the side of the post, pop it out the other side, wrap it, and pull through 2 and 2 and 2. And you're going to want to do this 2 more times. So you wrap and wrap, and going into the next post that's available to you, just on the side, and just pull through 2, 2 and 2. And do it one more time. Remember how I said each one of the cable areas are in groups of 3. So this is 3 now that are sitting by themselves. So this will be one of the cabling effect. So there's 3 different ones. So we're going to do the next one, and the next one is wrap and wrap, but this time you need to go back to the posts that you've already skipped. See, there's 3 right there. We're gonna come to the very first one that you skipped over and come into the side of the post. It's a front post treble crochet again, and we're going to do the 3 that you have skipped. So wrap and wrap, and going into the next one. So this is gonna make it lift over top of the other one that you just created, which is what you want. But we're not done. Remember that I said it's like a braid, so there's 3 parts. So we have to create the final part, and the final part are the next 3. And all you're just going to do then is just front post double crochet. So it's not a treble, it's a front post double crochet over top of the next 3. So now you've just created the cabling effect that's starting. Okay, so let me just pull up a little bit. So you have your 1, okay, that was your first one that started is now underneath. The next one is now over top, and this one's going straight up, which is right. So the next 3 that are available to you are just simply a double crochet. Just right into the normal stitch itself, and this makes it sit backward or flat to your fabric where the other cables pull forward and lift off. So we're going to repeat exactly what I've already done, but we're going to do it again. So we're gonna wrap twice. You're going to skip over the next 3, okay, posts, and you're gonna go to the 4th, and you're going to treble, front post treble, and wrap and do the next one. Isn't that pretty easy? And do the final one. Now the wonderful thing about this pattern that I loved is that you don't have to manipulate the work too much in order to access the stitches, thank God, because I wouldn't do it otherwise. So we have the 3 that we now have 3 now in, we have 3 that we skipped. We have to go back and get those. So we're gonna wrap twice for the treble and get the first one that we skipped. It's a front post treble again, and this again will then create the illusion of this layer sitting up over top. It's not really an illusion, I guess it really is sitting over top. It's pulling it over top. Okay, and we're doing the next 3 that you had already skipped. So like before, so you have the 2 that are crossing over, you have to do the next 3 that are in line with you, and those are front post double crochets, just into 3 only. And if you've done your math right, depending, no matter what size you've done, you will end up with 3 stitches left over. So we have 1, 2 and 3, and those are just regular double crochets. So 1, 2, and don't forget that chaining is counting as 1, so you make sure you go into the top of the chain, the turning chain, in order to make that work. So now here's what you have going on. You can see that the stitches are leaning over toward this side of my hand, and basically the next part we're going to start continuing along. So the next part we're going to start working on back posts for all of the stuff that's in the cable, but I won't jump ahead. Let me show you. So in the next part we're going to be working on back posts only, but can I tell you a secret? You're going to be doing back posts on every time you're going to be going in one direction, which will be the side that is in the back to you. So the back post in the back of the project is going to look like this. It's just very easy. Can you tell where the cables are? Absolutely. You can see that these are lifting off and these are sitting flat, so this is the space in between the cables. So we just have to watch for that, because if you watch where these signs are, it's very easy not to lose count or track or where you are in the project. So here's the easy part. We're going to turn around. Every time you're looking at the back end of the project, the row across is always the same. Yes, always the same. So don't get confused. This time, instead of doing a double crochet to start, we're going to chain 2, which counts as a half double crochet, and we're going to half double crochet into the next 2. Why are we going to do that, do you wonder? And the reason for it is that we're only going to be doing double crochets into the back posts of each one of the ones in the cable. So if you're doing double crochet, front post double crochet, the height changes, so you have to do these as half double crochet so the height of the sides don't outgrow the height of the cable itself. So each one of the cables, and this is where it gets tricky, but once you train your eyes you're gonna see it. So the first 3 are right there, and you're going to access them from the back side. So it's just a wrap, it's a double crochet back post coming into the side of the post from the back side, and you're just gonna double crochet as normal. So just wrap and going in from the back and pop it out and just double crochet as normal, and these will pull it backward, which is what you want. So the good side is on the other side of this project, which is continuing to lift that cable. So you see this gapping space, don't even worry about it, it's gonna fill itself in. So the next ones are here that are leaning toward the hook. See these ones here that are leaning towards this hand over here? You don't wanna worry about those yet because they're not in order. So just follow this line across and you will see what order everything is in. So you're just gonna get the next 3 as back post double crochet. But I have to show you something. This is where you're going to go wrong. So I'm gonna do the second one because it's easy to tell. But the third one is not always easy to tell, and the third one is easy to skip. Sometimes you were thinking about this as your back post. You gotta make sure you kind of turn it around and make sure you get it. Sometimes, especially on the bigger project that I'm working on, it's not so obvious. So you just gotta make sure you get that last one. It's sitting out on its own, and you gotta make sure you get it before you continue. So you have your 3. And now here, these are not always easy to access, so what you have to just do is just manipulate your work and just pull on it just to pull it out so you can get to it. So just kind of don't worry about pulling on it. You can do it all you want. The cabling is gonna pull it back anyway. Okay, so you're gonna do these 3. So you're doing everything that is in the cable on the back post double crochet, and now we're right in the middle. So you can tell we're in the middle. How? Because if you look here you can see the ridge. There is no ridge here, and so you can tell. Once you're in between on the back side, it's a half double crochet into each of the 3. Just like that. So let's begin the cabling effect again. So the cabling effect for every time you're in this direction is just simply a back post double crochet into each. So you don't have to manipulate by crossing over anything, and I'll show you in just a moment why we can get away with this, because you're stabilizing the pattern on the other side even though you don't realize it. So remember, this is leaning towards this hand. Don't be scared to pull this apart in order to see it if you cannot see it, especially if you have tight tension, and just get the next 3 posts. And my biggest thing that I notice with myself, it's always this last one right here. See how it's kind of just sitting out in the middle of nowhere? You wanna make sure that's your last one coming in before you move on to the other one that's leaning toward this hand right here. So here's another one. I see how I'm just gonna manipulate it just to make it easily to get to. Don't be scared to do that. And just get those 3. So this is going to happen every time you're going in this direction. Once you get the knack of your eyes looking at it, it's a really quick row. So then the final 3 are just half double crochet into each. Okay, and make sure you get into that turning chain for the final 3rd one, and here's what it looks like on the other side. So it doesn't look much different, does it? And yeah, it does, and I'll show you why in just a moment. So how does it look different on this side from this last row? Well, what it did is it pulled this one that's sinking down underneath, it pulled it up towards you, and basically these all look like they're equal levels in it right at this point. So it's this row that is the 3rd row of the repeat of 4 that make a difference in being able to do the manipulation with the illusion. So to begin this row, it's always going to be chain 3, which counts as your double crochet, and you're gonna double crochet into the next 2. So you have your 3 that stand alone outside the cable. So whenever you're going on row number 3, here's the trick. See how this one is wanting to pop out? Well, we're gonna pop that out even more on this round. So what we're going to do on this row only is that we're going to do a front post double crochet, and that's going to continue to pop that out from the back end to give it the illusion of lifting around. Okay, and now the next two is when the fun part begins. The next two is when we have to start doing the crisscross again. So we're going to wrap twice, skip over the first three that are really obvious now, and go to the next three and front post treble. Okay, so this is repeat row number 3 out of 4, and we do the next 3. It gets easier now because the posts are jumping in front of you that you can clearly see it. Now we're gonna come back and get the ones that we skipped. So the big deal on this one is that when we first started the cables, that we did the crisscross first and on both, and then we did the front post double crochet down. Well, on the other one, which is row number 3, we just reverse that. So we start off with the front post double crochet and then the crisscross, if that makes any sense. So here's what we have now, and now we're ready for, we have no more stitches left, so we're ready for the middle, and these are double crochet into each. So it's only on that last row where we're working on the back side that we do half doubles in between. Okay, so let's begin again. So again, just like we started here, we're going to start off with the front post double crochet for the first 3. And now we're going to start doing the crisscross. So we wrap and wrap, skipping over the first 3 and coming over here. So this is gonna pull this cable over towards the top, okay, of the one that's underneath. And then we go back and get the 3 that we missed. Whoops. Okay, and then wrap and wrap, and then we come back to the ones that we did. See how it's just all right in front of you? You don't have to turn your work to access it. It's really quite simple. It's a lot easier than I've seen in other patterns in the past that I've totally given up on because it's too hard to manipulate. So once you get to the end, you are simply just going to just double crochet into each of the final. And remember, do not forget that outside turning chain as your final. So now here's what you can see here. So you can see the cables are really starting to pull up now, going up all the way across, and now the fun begins as we do the final repeat, which is row number 4. Now let's turn our work and do row number 4. You've already know how to do this row. Even if you don't recognize it at this point, you're going to chain 2, 1 and 2, and then half double crochet into the first 2. This is exactly identical to row number 2. Exactly. It doesn't matter, you just have to follow it along. So the first 3 are going to get a back post double crochet. Okay, and again you're watching that third one. It's the one that crosses over. See how it's kind of sitting out by itself? You want to make sure you get that one. You will, I'm kind of making a big deal of it on video right now, but the reality is that I did miss it on my particular project, and I did have to frog out an entire row because I was not getting it properly. So you just got to watch the stitches and make sure that you're keeping everything in succession or in order, whatever you want to say, so that you're not screwing up the order because it makes a difference on the cable. So you can tell that I'm still in the cabling area because see the back ridges here? There's no ridges here, so I can tell that even if I'm losing count, I can just continue to back post onto all of the stitches here that are remaining in it. So even if I've lost count, it's easy to tell. So now here's in the middle, so I'm just going to half double crochet those. Okay, and I'm going to back post double crochet this next entire cable again. So how many is there? There's 9. And I was counting in the very beginning, but I've kind of just trained my eyes to look for it and trusted myself. Okay, so there's first 3. See, I'm just pulling this out of the way so I can get at it. Don't be scared to do that. And then I still have another 3, but if I lost count I can still see that there's ridges here, so that means I'm still in the cabling area. So I still want to do a back post double crochet, and this is maintaining that pattern so that it's continuing to lift on the other side. So when we turn around it'll have a different look as well. So there's the final 3, and again half double crochet. So when I turn my work, I'm going to be starting on the next one, which is the repeat of the cabling effect how we started, just right at the very beginning down here. You're gonna think that doesn't make any sense, but you watch what happens when I do so. So let's begin to do our work, and we're going to chain up 3, 1, 2, 3. This is the repeat pattern of the first time we've done the cable. So there's 4 lines I told you that are the repeat. Well, this is number 1 all over again. So we're just going to double crochet into the next 2, and then what we have to do is that we have to do a crisscross first. So last time we started off with the front post double crochet. This time it's a crisscross. That's the only difference between this row and the 3rd row. So to do that, we're just gonna wrap twice and just front post treble, and you're going to see the effect literally open between your before your eyes, or between your eyes. You're going to see it. That's the bottom line. So here we go, and so I've gone across, and now I'm gonna get the ones that I've skipped, starting at the first one. So you can continue to do this entire project this way, and you will get the entire length that you need in order to make it work. And all you just need to do at the very end is just double crochet yourself across as regular, and then fasten off. So now I've done my crisscross. I still have these to do, and these are a front post double crochet. So you can see that the cabling is now picking up and is now turning back towards the project, or towards the middle of the cable. See that? So you can see that this one here started off in the back. It's now lifting off and coming up around, and it's eventually going to do some fun stuff. And basically you can see that this cable here was underneath, and now next time it's gonna come up and pop up, and then this one here is eventually gonna sink down. So if I look at it here from this one here, you can see you can follow it up, and it will eventually sink underneath. This one here is still underneath, but it will eventually come up, and then this one that's in the middle eventually comes up and over, and it's just a visual thing. So let's begin the next the middle. Right in the middle is just a double crochet into each to finish off this row, and all you just have to do is just continue to repeat the pattern over and over. So the first one again is a wrap and wrap. You're going to double treble crochet into the front post. You are skipping the first 3, and then you're going to then front post treble crochet into the first one that you skipped, and the remaining. You're going to be able to recognize if you ever put down your work to get coffee or kids bothering you or whatever, you're going to be able to identify your work pretty easily once you get a hold of this pattern visually. So you don't have to worry about kind of keeping track on writing on where you are. So the next 3 are just our front post double crochet. Just like that, and then the final is just a double crochet as normal into the regular stitch. So you just have to turn your work and then just do the back post double crochets where you are in the cable. Again, half double crochets in the middle in order to make it work, and you just have to repeat the pattern over and over in order to make this work. And this is a really simple idea. So good luck to you, and hopefully see some work in progress or photos on Facebook and see how you do. Until next time, I'm Mikey on behalf of Yarn Inspirations as well as crochetcrowd.com. We'll see you.